Now, I want to introduce you to Ed Psaltis, and Ed is a bloke who is a very well-known yachtsman. Let's just run through some of his achievements here. Yachtsman of the Year in 2000, of course, competed in the 98 Sydney to Hobart, that horrific one all of those years ago. In fact, ended up winning first place aboard AFR Midnight Rambler way back when, but he's an ocean skipper and yachtsman, and very pleased to say he's with us here tonight to talk about a bit of yachting. How are you?
Yeah, well, good thing.
Thank you very much for having us. Now, also, you've just moved from Sydney.
I have.
You said you'd had enough of the aggro. It's time to kick back here.
Yeah, look, born and bred in Sydney, I'm a pretty conservative person, so it was a tough move to move away from the place I've spent all my life in. But Sydney, look, I don't want to criticise it too much, but it's changed a lot since the 70s, 80s and 90s. It's still an okay place, but Hobart is my new home for sure.
Yeah, it's that thing where, I know that my brother and I constantly talk about where else but it's where we were born and bred too, but it's that thing where, I don't know whether super big cities are sort of great for the young or the people who live really close to the city, or whether you can have a life way further out. Because the truth is that a lot of people watching us in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, whatever, they're just sick that it takes 40 minutes to get anywhere.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Where does 40 minutes get you from one side of Hobart to the other?
Anywhere you like. It's fantastic.
All right. When did you fall in love with the water?
Oh, look, when I was months old, frankly, my family has always been involved in yachting and doing the Sydney Hobart. My old man, Bill, did 22 Hobarts, 15 of those as skipper. I've done 38 of the stupid things, so I've done my time.
This is it.
My brothers have done multiple. Now my son, Ben, he did his fifth just last year, so it's a three-generational thing. The Hobart is more like religion to the Psaltis family than just a sport. It's pretty special for us, yeah.
So that idea that every year, you, a couple of days after Boxing Day, were down here, when did you start thinking, I'm cool to be here more than just once a year?
Yeah, it was probably about 20 years ago, and I thought, why am I getting out of here and going back to Sydney? This place is fantastic. And my mates used to say, well, look, it's the height of summer, the place is buzzing, the pubs and restaurants are all great.
Wait till winter.
Wait till winter.
Yeah.
But winter's not too bad, it's okay. So I've been thinking about it for decades, but I thought, I'm late 50s now, I've got to do it. Put your money where your mouth is and move out and do it, so here I am.
Now, we know that sailing's an Olympic sport. We know about Sydney to Hobart. You asked me before about if I was a sailor, and it's a little bit like when somebody says, are you a golfer? That I feel bad saying no, because I know how much it means to people like yourself. And for golfers, when I was in Washington last year, I got the chance to, Joe Hockey, the ambassador, said, do you want to play a round of golf with Greg Norman? I can't play golf, so I didn't get involved in any of that business, right? And people who like golf go, you got offered what?
Yes, no.
And it's this thing where, so people will turn around and every now and then somebody will say they're trying to put together a team for a Sydney to Hobart. Do you want to be part of it? I'm assuming they asked me not because of any potential sailing acumen, but the amount of ballast that I may potentially...
That's a very important point. The ballast means a lot.
Yeah, no, it might be good for weight. So I wanted to ask you, how do you encourage people to get into it? How do you encourage people that it's not just sort of the lifelong sailors, but the people who had flirted with it, or kids? How do you get more people to join the sport?
Yeah, look, over the years, I've joint owned a few boats, and 4 decades of doing it hard now. There's young guys that come through, young guys and girls who come through, and you can just tell if they have something a bit special that's a bit different, they have to be tough and they have to be able to get on with a team. It's that sixth sense that I think I may have, where I can pick out people that are okay and get them onto the boat and give them a go. And over the first few years, they do it tough and they get better and better. I've had some crews who have just become fantastic sailors who started off as young blokes. So it's a real learning curve, no doubt about it. Yeah.
What about, I'm always imagining, and I'm trying to ask this very tastefully, even though we're sort of getting towards the end of the evening on the eastern side of the country, but not quite on the western side. Yeah. How many people who do Sydney to Hobart are just violently crook? How many Hobarts does it take before you stop spewing?
Yeah, look, I don't, touch wood. I haven't for a while, but gee, I used to get pretty crook for my first 20 or so. If it blew hard enough,
I'd first 20?
So you just get used to it after a while. It's a mental thing, seasickness. You just have to relax and go with the flow and you don't get sick. But if you think about it and get nervous and take pills, you get sick, I find.
Yeah. Can you believe it's more than 20 years since the 98?
It's gone very quickly, yes. It's like just yesterday. It was horrendous what we all went through, but it's been a very, very fast 20 years since then, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you know, they're moments that define a sport, but also define the character of the people who went through it. And all of us that were sitting back and watching it all that time ago was just frightening to see. So, is there another Hobart in you? Well, dare I say, will you travel to Sydney to come back home this year?
Yes, I did it in this most recent Hobart. It was really funny coming into Sydney to do the Hobart as opposed to racing out and then getting the boat back home again. So it was a big difference to the usual thing. This year again, I'm toying with the idea of going. I've got a great local tazzie crew who I'm really pleased with. The boat's going well, so why not give it a go?
Is it this the reason that the same people win all the time?
Money is very important and becoming increasingly so, which is a real shame. It's, it's like most sports, in any sport, money, professionalism comes into it. So in the old days, a bunch of mates could go and do the race without too much dough. Now it's becoming very hard. I had sponsorship for decades, which was really helped me a lot. But yes, it's if I wasn't so hooked on this damn thing, I'd be thinking of better ways to spend my money.
Well, Ed, I'm glad that you keep on with it, keep with the passion. And as I say, if you need 120 kilos, I'll do my best to hold on. Thank you very much, mate. Lovely to talk to you.
Thank you.